recently, and I'm not here as a proponent of High Tech High. I'm here to talk to you today about design thinking a little bit different. So I love this, HR, I'm good at taking tests. And so there's a couple of takeaways for me in that video. One, I did a little non-scientific experiment less than a month ago. I had the honor of standing to this side of the stage as the governor's scholars came across to shake hands with Governor Brownback. So these are the top kids in every one of our high schools, and you were well represented. And so Dale Dennis shook their hand, then I did, and then Jason Sickle, your own Jason Sickle, shook their hand. We had about 15 seconds, all right, that's about all, before they got the real thing, which is the photo op with the governor. So it's pretty quick. It's kind of like a commencement ceremony. And so I thought, well, I'll just do a little scientific, non-scientific study. As these are the best and the brightest we have in our state, and they were remarkable. They're going to Columbia, and they're going to KU, and they're going, MIT, and all these great places to do wonderful things. Dale would say, "Where are you from?" And they would say things like, "Oh, I'm from Ottawa, I'm from Blue Valley." And I would say, "And what are you going to do next year?" And then they would tell me. And Jason would then engage them in a little bit about both of those, about then how are you going to go about doing that. And in that 15 seconds, as they were nervous, leading across the stage, mom and dad there, some of you were there, what I was ascertaining is, do they have the skill set for looking me in the eye, having a conversation about telling me who they were, about what they were going to do and what they were passionate about. And half the kids couldn't do it. Half the kids, I don't know if that's not scientific, I'm just telling you, half the kids could not engage in that quick conversation because they were really good at doing this. Really good. And I thought, okay, the half that were really good at this and really good at this, that's the home run, right? That's the whole child. That's the kid that has all that together. But it just made me think about what we're trying to do. The second thing, if you analyze, I'm a history guy and political science teacher. That's who I am. Todd and I were talking beforehand. I still might see myself as a teacher and as a principal and as a superintendent. I see my role in that. And that's why, as Kelly said, you were so important in this design. You're going to do it. And so I watched the last election, and I watched President Trump win states that we would never have thought going into that election would ever vote Republican. Kind of the Rust Belt, the Pennsylvanias, the Michigans, the Ohios. He swung through those states, Pennsylvania. And he did so, I'll give you the tagline, it's broader than that. But you remember when he was in West Virginia saying, we're going to bring coal mining back to West Virginia. The truth is, in this country, high-paying jobs with a high school education only have shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, and people are mad. They're so mad, they threw out the Democrats for someone that said, we're bringing back coal mining. Now, is anyone in here home from Southeast Kansas? Anyone from Southeast Kansas? Where are you from? Columbus, all right. I'm from Coffeyville, all right. So I recently was down around Columbus, West Mineral to be exact. And if you go to West Mineral, there's something around that area. What is it? Big Brutus. Big steam shovel, Big Brutus. And I was standing there with our communications director who couldn't understand why I'd be taking her to Big Brutus. And I stuck her in the shovel, and I thought, it's not coming back. We're not going to fire Big Brutus up and start, shoveling shale and coal again. It's not coming back. And the reality is that while there are great jobs for high school educated kids, it's a small percent, and it's shrinking every day. And so it's easy to say to people that want hope, we're going to bring back in Wichita, Kansas, $80 an hour sheet metal workers to work for Boeing, right, with no skill. And the truth is, they're not coming back. Talk to Spirit. Those jobs without some skill are not not coming back. And what's difficult is if you're 50 and you have no skill, but you've been used to making 6 figures a year, you're not very happy about that. And you want to blame who? People running across the border. People have all sold their businesses. And you can see all that. That's the challenge we have going forward, is how do we help more than this? How do we help really lead the world as we talk about it? So before I took this job, I went around Kansas. I came here to Blue Valley in the Johnson County area several times, and we simply asked 3 questions to as many people that would come, over 20 different locations. If you were to describe a successful 24-year-old, describe that person. Give us the skill sets, the characteristics, the attributes. Just write them down. Talk to us. What is a successful 24-year-old? There's no scientific research on 24. Could have been 25 or 30. We just picked a number that represented the end of maybe formal education. The second question, what is our role in K-12 educators to develop that person we just described? Is there any, or is it all the parents? And the third is, what's higher education's role, if any, in developing that person? Okay? Largest qualitative study ever done in the history of the state. We gave the data to Kansas State, crashed the computer. Some of you are saying, makes sense, should have given it to KU. I can say that I have 3 degrees from Kansas State. But we had to upgrade some software because it was all open-ended questions. Here's what Kansans told us to make up success. Over 2,000 responses, largest qualitative study ever done in the history of our state. They said 70% of what make up success are not measured on a standardized test. So challenge number 1 is how much of our day is spent testing academic skill? A lot. We'll talk some about that. A lot. And yet, Kansan said, what make up success? Yeah, there's got to have some skill. 70% of those responses said it's non-academic in nature. And that's what makes up success. Business people, we went out and talked to business leaders. That's what they told us. I was ready to hear, can they just use a tape measure? Can they count back change? By the way, I'm sick and tired of hearing someone say, can they count back change? Because I think the only place that does that's the Sonic Drive-In. Right? 2 to 4 happy hour at the Sonic every day. Some of you know that. And, so go today at the Sonic. It's $7.13. Give them $10.36 and let the fun begin. Because there's no cash register to tell them what to do. So I think you ought to tip heavy at the Sonic Drive-In thing and count back your change, because I think they're the only people that can do it. But this is instructive because our business leaders even more so said, we need these soft skills, 21st century skills. We have lots of terms for them, but they're the non-academic type skill set. I never will forget, I was in Lawrence with a CEO of a construction company. He said, Randy, I want to tell you a story. I hired 2 young people to start on my construction crew on a Monday morning, $20 an hour. He said, guys, we start Monday morning. I'll see you Monday morning. I'm excited. He said, on Monday morning, one showed up at 8:15 and one showed up at 8:34. They were to show up at 8. First day of work, $20 an hour. These are high school educated kids. He said, I was a little miffed. Well, really a little bit more than a little miffed. But I said, get your tools, get on the truck. I'll deal with you guys when we get out to the work site. He said, we got out there, and by 9:30, one of them was on their cell phone texting. And then he said, at the end of the shift, one of them came up and said to him, hey, dude, how do I get promoted in your company? Now, I'm gonna give you 2 quotes from him, because I'll never forget that experience. We were at a chamber event, and he was there, and he was just 10 feet from me. And he said, I looked at the young man, and I said, young man, I'm about to fire your ass. You're not going to get promoted. And then I'll never forget, he looked at me and he said, and you're not giving me the type of kid I need. Now, we've all been there, right? We've all been in that situation. Teachers, principals, we've all been there. Well, what do you think my initial gut response was to that? Was quickly to defend. Are you kidding me? Have you seen the parents we're dealing with? Have you seen, the kids? I'm working as hard as I can, but I resisted to do that because what he was telling me was his reality. And I just listened. You're not giving me the kid that I needed. One that'll show up on time. One that'll give me a good effort. One that cares enough about my company enough to work hard that I can promote. And I'm not paying them $9 an hour, I'm paying them 20. So it really stuck with me that we've got a whole generation of people that are struggling in these skill sets. A whole generation. There are many reasons why. We could spend the whole afternoon talking about the reasons why. But I can remember getting up early in the morning in Coffeyville